Hi guys, welcome back. AJSRVIM. Hi sweetheart. So great to see you. All right, so we are going to get into today's topic. Although, because I missed the 28th, I want to first say this is going to be for the 29th, but before we jump into the 29th, let me just get like three cards for whatever the message was for the 28th. What was the big takeaway from the 28th, energetically speaking? And then we'll go into the 29th. Okay, I just feel like I don't like to miss days, but sometimes scheduling doesn't allow me to do what I'd like to do 365 days a year. So, Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Nine of Swords. So it looks like the 28th may have been a day that was kind of like a character realized that they're on kind of a slower pace, a slower moving part of their journey, and they could have actually started to second guess themselves. If they met somebody new and they're like, well, that was a nice conversation, then afterwards they start stressing out. I'm picturing that somebody didn't sleep well the night of the 28th because they were worried about, like, oh man, should I have said this? Should I have said that? Should I have said more? Should I have said less? When really they'll have plenty more time to either, continue on that conversation or see that person again. Or, it really kind of makes me think that we have a character who's very hard on themselves. They overthink a conversation that they had with somebody way too much, fretting, worrying, did I say the wrong thing? And it's like, oh, in the big scheme of our life, that one conversation in particular is not like, it's not going to define the rest of our character's life. And if anything, I kind of think that whatever our character said was probably said in innocence and maybe sweetness and kindness. But if they felt awkward later on, like, I'm an exceptionally awkward person, so I totally get second guessing, something that you said, or like, oh God, I hope I didn't come across as so weird, and it's like, well, but I am weird, so I guess I came across like me. No, but I feel like this character maybe frets a little bit or worried a little bit after some dialogue they had with somebody on the 28th. But it's just says they'll have plenty more time to either, you know, converse with someone again. Maybe that's what they're worried about. Is like, yeah, I know I got to see that person again. No, this is two wonderful cards and just one that is an unnecessary stress. And so I hope that our character can let that go. Okay, so let's look now at the message for the 29th. Because I feel like that was a very relatable message for the 28th. Like, who doesn't stress out sometimes? Hi, Robin. Hi, sweet Violet. Good to see you, babe. We have got a 10 of Swords. Okay, so the message so far for the 29th is a big old shakeup, an end to something very stressful, even though sometimes this can be like the big blowout moment. But the thing is, at least that ends the stress. Like a big old blowout moment can sometimes just be like, you know what? I think I'm so done arguing with this, or I'm going to let this go. Two of Coins. Actually, if these, so usually we want gears that like work together, right, to make a machine go. But if these gears were actually trying to grind in opposite directions, I could see that it's like we are never going to get on the same page. However, the Ten of Swords says, no, the conflict is over, which would mean two seemingly opposing forces have learned how to work together harmoniously, which is terrific. This could be two individuals that normally would just clash. Instead, they're like, hey, wait a minute. You're different than me. That's why we clash, because you got these different strengths than what I do, and you see things through a different lens than what I do, but we actually both are trying to accomplish the same thing. So wait a minute. Why don't we put our different strengths together and, find a way to do what we each do best, but do it, harmoniously. It looks really good. And we have this Hierophant and that third eye is open. And this is Taurus energy, by the way. But it definitely feels like the higher power or the higher self is coming in on the 29th, and it's just really helping characters to see things from a different lens, maybe even appreciating each other more. This could be a married couple that were just like totally at odds, but there could be a set of circumstances that arise, and it's like, wow, you were really good in that situation. Like that was amazing. You just handled, I don't know why I'm picturing a couple like traveling or something, and there's some upheaval in their travel plans, and that's where like each one of them has different skills. One is really good at like talking to the airlines and being very gracious and greasing the wheels so that they can find another flight, and then the other one is really good at lugging the luggage, and just like the two of them could work in harmony to get something worked out. There are like at least one little weird buggy flying around, I think. I don't know where that went or why it's in my house. I don't have any windows open right now, but anyway, if you see it, I think it's a buggy. I don't know. Sorry, that distracted me. But I'm picturing like a duo, a couple who is realizing, I didn't choose you because you're identical to me. I chose you because you have different and complementary strengths to me. And we have been completely clashing until this moment. And now it's like, oh my God, that's why I needed you. Let's use a different example, and let's say like food is a great example, right? You pair stuff together sometimes that you didn't even know would be absolutely spectacular together. Like I'm a big fan of like we'll say cheeses and grapes. You want the sharp salty of like a good feta with a couple bites of a sweet grape. Like it's so complementary, different. And on their own, they're great too, but you put them together and it's like, wow, oh, this actually works. But you need to know that you're going to be experiencing two different flavors together. And then it's like, well, yeah, of course. And they taste good together. Again, 3 of Pentacles to the 8 of Swords. We keep seeing characters that like did not realize, instead of saying, how come you aren't doing things just like me? It's like, wait a second, I'm going to sleep, but you're going to go up and walk on the tightrope because you enjoy that. And I used to be stressed, like, why aren't you asleep at the same time as me? Well, because maybe they work different hours, or they do things in a slightly different way, but it can work. It's just that they, you'll keep guard during the hours that I'm asleep, and I'll keep guard during the hours that you're asleep. We could actually work better as a team if we see ourselves as a team, but we're not a team where we're side by side all the time. We're a team that has different strengths at different times of the day. We keep seeing two different energies. She's sleeping, he's walking. And this was a huge source of stress for these two at one point in time. Now, this doesn't have to be about a married couple. This could be in a belief system. Let's say this is in a family, and it's like, you know what? I don't agree with the belief system that, like religion is a big thing that separates people oftentimes, right? Especially like in a family, like my partner and I, or my parents and I, we don't agree in a religious way, and that can cause all kinds of conflict until you go, wait a second. Are we really that different? We all want the same thing, right? Peaceful, harmonious. Then who cares how we get there? Who cares about the minutia of what the belief systems are, or how you pray, or how you do this? The outcome is we only want good for each other, and we only want fairness for each other, and we only want to develop a better world. Then that's really nothing to have conflict about, is it? It feels like, again, the higher power, the higher self on a Hierophant is always going to bring out, or should always bring out, exactly that. Like, really, is it that different? If we all want wonderful things, we don't want this conflict. We don't want this kind of, jarring energy. So we actually do have the same opinion. So we don't have to fight. It looks really good for the 29th to have this kind of peace. Now, let me look closer at the Hierophant, because I don't know yet if this is about like a romantic couple. Oh, we have a 10 of Cups. So we're going to say it's a romantic couple. It's definitely a couple that has a lot of love for each other. So it definitely looks like, I don't know, we see roses up in the sky and a happy couple with their baby, grandbaby, doesn't matter, but we have got like genuine, I feel like two people are going to be able to put a relationship back together, not because they're identical, but because from here on out, they're going to understand that wasn't the point of me meeting you or choosing you as my mate. I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to find somebody who was identical to me. I was supposed to find my complement, the person who can do other things that I can't do. It is so great. We love that in like a workplace, right? You need all the different people. If you've ever worked in, we'll say, a dental office, right? You got to have your dentist, and then you got to have, your hygienists. You got to have your dental assistants, and you got to have a front end manager, and you got to have your secretaries. And you need every single one of those. And if anybody's not there, that office ain't working so good, because all those roles are so good. But you can't say, hey, secretary, jump back there and do a root canal, any more than you probably ask the dentist to run up and get everybody scheduled and know how to do the billings and, talk to insurance and all that. Those are different skills, but they are needed, and they complement, and they keep the whole office running. And in a workplace, we're like, well, yeah, of course. But in a relationship, we don't think of it that way. In a relationship, it's like they're supposed to be just like me. And this is that breakthrough moment where it's like, no, actually, it's great that you're not just like me, that you do it different than I do. That's actually a bonus, that you have a different set of skills than I do. So it makes us each very valuable to each other, instead of, individuals to have conflict. Oh, this is so great. We have a Princess of Coins and we have the Sun. What a massive breakthrough for a relationship that must have had significant conflict. I mean, they were at the point of throwing in the towel, is what it says. On the 29th, two people that thought this is the end, it's over. The only thing that's over is the fight. And I don't know if they got to this crescendo where it was like, you know what, then I guess we're not going to be good together. Yeah, I guess not, because we're not alike. And then if they start to instead say, yeah, we're not alike, you do this, this, and this, and it's wonderful, and I don't know how to do all those things that you do. And the other person can be like, well, you do this, this, and this, and it's wonderful, and I don't know how to do the things that you do. Wouldn't it be great if, instead of characters like tearing each other down, like, you do this is what makes me unhappy, it's like, these are all the things that I see you doing that I know you're talented at, and I can't do those things, so I feel like, do we not have a bond? And instead it's like, no, that's actually where we complement each other. It's such a different way to look at it, right? It's such a different way. And if we open up that third eye and look at it from that perspective, it gets really clear. Like, this is why we are good together, because we have different skills. This is a very unique way to see a relationship, and to actually not just salvage it, but have it like really work out. I'm thinking that these characters might actually look up like their placements, birth chart, natal chart, and see where they're compatible, because I have a feeling these two will discover that they have a different level of compatibility. Like a moon sign could be more compatible with, like somebody's Neptune, or, just something else might be more compatible. It's not just going to be quite so simple for this duo. It's not going to be like, oh, well, my sun and, sun sign should be compatible with your sun sign. I don't think that it's going to be that easy for them. I think it's something more subtle. And if they understand the subtleties of it, and look, I'm not even saying that I don't live my life based off of my natal chart at all. I don't believe that is correct. I think that there's so much about us that makes us who we are. But I do think, if these characters had been looking at it just one-dimensionally and saying, well, this is my sun sign, this is yours, that must be why we don't work, I think if they looked a little deeper, they might find the exact reverse, information to back it up, and be like, well, actually, we could be good together because of other placements. So it's just kind of understanding some subtleties of who they really are. Eight of Wands, these two are learning how to talk to each other. They are learning how to actually appreciate each other. And maybe that was at the core of a lot of this. Maybe these two both needed to be able to run to each other and look forward to talking to each other about the things, and reinforce the good things, that one another does, instead of having conflict about how they're different. It's like, no, I want to tell you all the things that I adore about what you do. I think these two are going to start falling in love all over again. They may, even if they had been married for 15 years, these two could go on a first date all over again. This is like seeing each other with those refreshed eyes. And it's, when we first start dating somebody, They can do no wrong. Everything about them is adorable. Everything about them, they're so different. They're so interesting. And it almost feels like these two are going to be just delighted to be around each other again. This definitely looks like, I don't know, you see he's kind of quizzical, like, man, she's gorgeous. Look at her walking toward me. It just feels really nice. It doesn't matter what genders we're talking about. It's just, I don't know, just this very sweet Page of Swords. They get a chance to get to know each other again, which is funny because they look like they were already a married couple or a couple who thought of themselves as very connected, and yet they needed to start dating each other again like they were strangers and get intrigued and learn things about each other, because there's a ton that they don't know about each other. Obviously, these two almost thought that they couldn't be around each other. We're just too different, before realizing that that is actually a benefit to us. So this could be a couple that was actually divorced or divorcing, and they call it off and decide to get back together and start dating each other and actually realize that there's so much more about you that I didn't learn that about you yet. It's looking at each other with a whole different vision. Well, how is it that we can be different but compatible? Very awesome to see. We almost never get stories that are quite like that. Usually it's like, okay, something heinous happened and then somebody has to change and say sorry. And I'm so pleased to see such a different vibe. There've been kind of some interesting stories today. Well, tonight. I didn't get to do any videos really until tonight, but all the I did, like, I think 6 zodiacs this evening, and they were all pretty distinctly different stories also. Um Different from any norm. So I like that. We have an Ace of Cups that I definitely feels like fallen in love all over again, with the new depths of understanding a partner that's like, I didn't realize that I didn't know a whole bunch of stuff about you. Now that I know new stuff about you, old person, new stuff to love. It's like, yeah, these two could really have a very happily ever after. It doesn't mean that, they'll now get it all worked out and fine tuned and they'll never have any arguments or any problems again. Two people that are very different are still going to have, like a learning curve, how to respect the fact that they have limits as to what the other one can do. The same way, like I said, you can't get frustrated that secretary can't run back there and help out the dentist with the root canal. That's not what she does or he does. You can't get pissed off that the dentist doesn't know how to rush up and answer a multi-line phone and schedule everybody. They're going to have to respect the fact that there's limitations to what their different skills are. But if they get in that sync where it's like, yeah, but that's not why I'm with you. I'm with you for the skills that you do have and what you do so well and that I love about you. It's okay that you don't do all the same stuff that I do, and I don't do all the same stuff that you do. It's a different way to look at actual compliment, instead of like, well, this should be exactly split down the middle, 50-50. You're supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do 50% of that. It's not really going to be able to be divvied up like that for the two of them. They'll complement each other, and that's how they'll find the equality and the balance, because they both do different things, different skills. Actually, that's lovely. Absolutely lovely. I'm always so happy when characters look like they're getting things worked out. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I really appreciate you. Thank you for giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, all that jazz. We will start getting into the next round of zodiacs starting tomorrow. Every zodiac now has had their first one of the week, and like 3-ish, I think, got an extra one so far, but I should be able to get everybody a second video. So now that I'm back from what I was calling my vacation with my my family. You guys, thanks so much. Again, AJSRVIM, great to catch you tonight. Robin, sweet, bruised like violets, vertical rising. Thank you for being here, babe. Anisha Chatu, hey, hey. Sweet, I love that. Tis the season for buggies. Zion's gamming, nice to see you. Thanks for popping in, love. CT Smith, hi. I'm delighted to see you, hun. I almost never get to bump into you in these. Robin, thank you again, sweetheart. Thanks for hanging with me again tonight. Oh, very cool, Zions. Sweet. As a gardener, do you know all the different types of watering for plants? Plants need water, but different forms and approaches make a big difference for thriving and surviving. You're absolutely right. Yeah, like peppers, they do not want their little feet wet, do they? Same with like, grapes, you water them at the beginning, but then once they've got their foothold, then you don't overwater grapes. Like raspberries have to have like more consistent water. Like, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of, I mean, plants tell you though too, they talk to you quite a bit. They show you what they like and don't like, but you're absolutely right. There's a lot. That's true also when you were saying that, for example, some plants don't like mist on their leaves and only want bottom water up, or the gardenia, or some like drip constantly, like cucumbers. Yeah, there's also like the, some are really prone to like getting the mildew, like some of the bigger leaf things. Like I always worry about that, so I don't do like overhead watering at all, like with my zucchinis and, pumpkins and any of those bigger leaf things that I always feel like are so prone to getting, the dusty mold on them. But yeah, no, you're spot on. That's very true. Tribes to go. Thank you, honey. So glad you hung out after the Ophiuchus. SLH, sweet dreams, honey. Thank you so much, Robin. You're so kind. Trans is human. Nice to see you. So glad you're here, hun. Oh, Robin, I am so honored that you're hanging out with me on your third shift. Oh, you're hard working, hun. Take good care of you also. You're sweet. I agree with you. Plants are very sensitive, aren't they? Gabriela Ramondo. Hi, honey. All right, you guys have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are. Champersink, I'm sorry, babe. I almost missed you there. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sweet dreams, everybody. By the way, Gabriella, I love that rose emoji. That's such a pretty one. I haven't seen the whole rose stem like that before. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.